Did you see that? The phrase was ringing out in living rooms, Twitter timelines, and YouTube reaction clips the moment TLC released the brand new Sister Wives Season 20 trailer. Fans who believed they had already witnessed every turn possible in Kody Brown's dysfunctional family drama were left reeling all of a sudden. This wasn't merely another standardized teaser, replete with shouting matches, crying, and painful family meals. No, this one was more. This included a bombshell that no one could see coming. Rumors that Kody Brown, the guy who already had 4 wives and then lost 3 of them, was now ready to bring in a 5th wife. The sheer brazenness of it ignited social media like fire, and in minutes, #Kody Brown 5th wife was trending globally. It wasn't only that the news shook fans. It was how TLC released it. The trailer didn't subtly suggest drama. It burst with energy from the very beginning. It began with rapid cuts of previous seasons. Christine exiting, Janelle yelling in unheard of anger, Meri holding her head in tears, and Robyn holding on to Kody as he announced that she was his soulmate. Then, in a flash of thunder, the screen went black. Kody's voice cut through the silence. "There's someone new." Robyn's face appeared in the next shot, shocked, with eyes opening wide in disbelief. With one instant, everything fans believed they knew about the Brown family was turned on its head. The internet did what it always does in times like these. In mere seconds of the trailer's airing, TikTok influencers were filming reaction clips, their mouths agape as they watched the clip of Kody teeing up a new wife. Twitter was abuzz with memes, equating Robyn's look of shock with reality TV stars of yesteryear. Reddit forums lit up, analyzing each and every frame of the trailer, from the silhouette of a figure entering a room to the lip-synced audio clips TLC had edited together. Everyone needed answers, but more so, everyone needed to believe that Season 20 was going to be the most explosive season so far. What made this moment so great was the past behind it. Kody Brown was more than a man with a complicated love life. For more than a decade, he had been the public face of plural marriage on reality TV. When Sister Wives premiered, the idea of a single man juggling 4 wives and an expanding brood of children intrigued audiences. Initially, the show was billed as a documentary-style exploration of love, faith, and family values. But with the passing of the years, it was apparent that this was not a tale of contentment. It was a tale of competition, favoritism, jealousy, and disappointment. The wives departed one by one. Christine earned headlines when she walked away boldly, valuing her own happiness over enduring the fight for bits of attention from Kody. Janelle soon followed, confessing she could no longer fight for crumbs of attention from Kody. Even Meri, who had held on to the marriage for years in the face of humiliation and heartbreak, eventually conceded defeat. That meant only Robyn, the wife whom Kody appeared to love most of all. So when the trailer teased the idea that Kody was on the hunt for a 5th wife, the surprise wasn't numerical, it was temporal. Why on earth would a guy who had lost not 3 but 3 marriages already, who had already faced criticism for being neglectful and favoring certain wives over others, want to bring on yet another partner? And why now, when Robyn was the sole surviving wife, his one true love? The responses were angry. Some fans scoffed, calling it typical Kody, always pursuing something new rather than addressing what was already broken. Others were outraged, calling him selfish, manipulative, and unable to learn from past experiences. And then there were those who accused TLC of orchestrating the grand bait and switch. Was it really happening, or was it all masterful editing to keep viewers engaged for season after season? The trailer itself was a work of art of manipulation, each shot picked with care to increase the tension. Robyn crying into her hands, Kody grinning into the camera, Christine's voiceover comment, "If he thinks a new wife will solve his issues, he's more delusional than I thought." Janelle caution, "This won't turn out the way he expects." Even Meri, typically the most subdued, grumbled, "I've seen this before," a knowing headshake. And finally, the most chilling image of all, a shadowy figure of a woman, walking by themselves into a room. No face, no name, just mystery. It was the kind of cliffhanger that reality TV thrives on. Enough information to shock you, but not enough to satisfy you. Fans began speculating wildly about who this woman could be. Was she someone Kody had been secretly courting all along? A family friend turned love interest? A newcomer introduced by his faith community? Others even joked that TLC had orchestrated the whole thing and hired an actress to portray the mystery wife. Whatever, the fact was clear. The trailer had succeeded. Everyone was talking. Everyone was wondering, and everyone was going to watch. What made Robyn's response so compelling was how unscripted it seemed. All these years she had been portrayed as Kody's favorite, the most favored wife, the one who received the most attention, the most affection, and the most influence. Even some viewers were blaming her for the collapse of the other marriages, thinking that Kody had dumped his other wives to make her his priority. But Robyn didn't appear to be the victor of some kind of crazy competition in this trailer. She appeared to be the one who was left in the dark. Her cries were not victorious. They were frightened. "I thought I was enough for you," she sobbed in one moment. For the first time her fans saw her frightened, jolted and terrified that she could lose the very security that she had once considered to be hers by right. That vulnerability resonated. All of a sudden Robyn wasn't so much the so-called favorite wife anymore. She was a broken woman, confronted with the possibility that Kody's allegiance was as tenuous with her as it had been with all the others. And that, maybe, was the most heartless twist of all. The genius of reality television is that it redefines what is real and what is not. Viewers are aware that trailers are cut for maximum drama, but they can't help but jump in feet first. They are aware that TLC lives on scandal, but they can't avoid the pain of Robyn's tears or the shock of Kody's announcement. That's why Sister Wives has lasted 20 seasons. Because even when Kody's errors are predictable, the consequences are always compelling. With the dust now settled from the trailer dropping, one thing was certain: this season was going to be different. Whether a fifth wife had actually existed or not, harm had already been inflicted. Robyn's confidence in her marriage was rocked, the ex-wives were openly ridiculing Kody, and the audience was sharpening their attitudes like knives. The trailer had teased drama, but it had done much more than that. It had sparked a cultural moment. Audience members weren't merely wondering, will Kody actually marry a fifth wife? They were wondering, what does this do for Robyn? What does this do for the kids? What does this do for the family legacy of a family that had claimed to be founded on love and togetherness? Those questions would propel them through every episode, every fight, every cry-filled confession. And that was the genius of it all. Because ultimately the trailer that rattled fans wasn't about one man and his insatiable hunger for more. It was about a family disintegrating on national television, a legacy crumbling under the burden of pride and ego, and a fan base that couldn't avert their eyes even if they wanted to. Season 20 had not even come on yet, and already it had solidified as the most hyped, most discussed and most contentious entry in the Sister Wives history books. And lost in the midst of all the drama, while fans rewound the clip over and over, one nagging question would not abate: was this real, or just another gimmick? For more than a decade, Kody Brown has built a reputation for doing the unexpected. Just when fans think they've figured him out, he makes a move so shocking, so out of left field, that the audience is left gasping, replaying the moment again and again. That's why when rumors of a fifth wife fell into place in the season 20 trailer, many fans who'd been around for a while weren't shocked by the twist itself. They were shocked by how far Kody apparently was willing to take the saga of his family. Because if one thing is true about Kody, it's that the guy feeds off of shocking everyone, both within his family and outside within the world observing from their television screens. The reality is, Kody's whole journey on reality television has been one giant string of shocks. When Sister Wives originally aired in 2010, the world had no idea what to do with it. Here was a man with not one, not two, not three, but 4 wives: Meri, Janelle, Christine and Robyn, and a family so big that it was almost impossible to count all of the kids. Back then, polygamy wasn't just novel to mainstream audiences, it was problematic, even forbidden. And yet, there he was, beaming into the camera with his golden ringlets and his confident grin, happily introducing America to his unorthodox brood. Surprise number 1, sheer bravery of coming out in public was something that most people could hardly conceive. much less embrace. But Kody was not just introducing a family, he was introducing himself as the charismatic figurehead of it all. He walked with the air of one who had deciphered some hidden code to having multiple marriages, raising close to 24 children, and keeping them all content in the same house. Viewers watched because it was strange, but they continued to watch because they were curious as to whether it could work. Was it possible that a single man could split his time and affections equally between 4 women? Could these wives actually have a husband and a home with him without heartbreak or jealousy? Kody, with his bigger-than-life personality, said they could. There was a time, it seemed at least, that perhaps he was correct. But that was the thing about Kody. For every second that he seemed to have everything in hand, he would do something that took the whole family flying out of control. Fans soon came to realize that his confidence was not supported by wisdom, it was ego-driven. The man was a rebel at heart, and if that meant catching his wives off guard with surprises they hadn't anticipated, so be it. When Robyn joined the family as the 4th wife, it was not just another marriage. It was the start of a power dynamic that nobody, including the other wives, anticipated. In an instant, Robyn was the center of attention, and Kody appeared to radiate pride in a manner that differed significantly from his interactions with the others. The surprise wasn't that he married another woman. The surprise was that so quickly it was apparent that she was his favorite. The wives had worked for years adapting to each other, tolerating jealousy and dividing up Kody's time, but when Robyn came along, the equilibrium was broken. Christine felt cut out. Janelle knew the writing was on the wall. Meri, who had been Kody's sole and legitimate wife for all these years, felt her connection to him dissipate overnight, and yet Kody pretended everything was fine. Indeed, he looked nearly delighted with the turmoil. Where the wives perceived heartbreak, Kody perceived a narrative. Where they perceived rejection, he perceived an opportunity to assert his independence and dominance as the head of the household. It was like drama was gasoline for him. The bigger the shock, the more he came alive. That scenario followed itself over and over again. When Meri's catfishing scandal hit the headlines, it could have been handled privately, with compassion. But Kody turned it into a public spectacle, humiliating her on national television by declaring he no longer considered them married in anything but name. Fans were shocked at how cold and cruel it came across. When Christine decided to leave, viewers expected Kody to fight for his marriage, to show sorrow or regret. Instead, he blew his top, almost challenging her to leave. Again, another shock. The breakup with Janelle was not as melodramatic, but no less agonizing. And all this while, Kody continued with Robyn, as if the disintegration of his family was not tragedy but simply another television season. That was the legacy Kody had created, a guy who could take anything, even heartache, even betrayal, and turn it into a plot twist that kept everyone tuning in. And that's why the rumor of a 5th wife on season 20 didn't entirely surprise anyone. For Kody, this was precisely the type of move that was consistent with his past. Why bother fixing the relationships when you can set fire to them and observe the rest of the world respond? Why sit in accountability when you can preoccupy everyone with a new narrative, a new wife, a new set of headlines? The reason this surprise was so explosive was that it was directed at Robyn. She was the only constant, the one person who Kody appeared to value above all others for years. She had weathered the storm of the other wives' departure, and she had stayed his wife when no one else would. Viewers presumed that if Kody would ever quit being a serial monogamist, it would be with Robyn. And then the trailer dropped, with that ominous line, "There's someone new," and before anyone could even process it, the ground under even Robyn's marriage appeared to shift. That's the crux of Kody's unpredictability. He doesn't surprise his wives alone, he surprises us. He toyed with our expectations, holding loyalty and betrayal out before us, as if in scales, never making any of us completely sure of what lay ahead. That's why he's so compelling and so maddening too. Hate him or love him, you can't avoid him, because no matter how disastrous the fallout, Kody always appears to have his next move, his next surprise, his next turn in the drama of the Brown family planned. And so, when the season 20 trailer hinted at the arrival of a new wife, the fans saw the formula. It wasn't romance, it was control. It was attention. It was all about Kody's relentless desire to make his life story larger than everyone else's suffering. Although the fifth wife was perhaps real or a masterfully edited cliffhanger, the surprise was genuine. Undefined. And for Kody Brown, surprising people has always been his forte. The trailer sliced through the din like a clap of thunder, and in seconds the viewers knew they weren't merely being treated to another season teaser. They were witnessing the staging of one of the greatest sister wives surprises ever. The scene played out around a table long enough to seat a family, a setting where so many legendary family moments had been captured over the years. Those tables had once witnessed laughter, intense arguments, tearful confessions, and stilted silences. But now, something was different. The lighting was softer, the angles closer, the background music more ominous. Each shot seemed to hint that something epochal was going to occur. Seated at the head of the table was Kody Brown, his back rigid, his gaze fixed on the faces before him. The trailer provided no background on how the family had arrived at that point. It didn't depict the build-up, the invitations, or the talks. It just plopped viewers in the middle of the drama and let them sense the tension without context. That's what made it so enthralling. The wives, or what was left of them, sat haphazardly along the table. Christine was absent, naturally, but her spirit was present in what the ex-wives would soon have to say. Janelle sat back, arms folded, her face a guarded look of serenity. Meri remained still, hands clasped, the same old sorrow on her face. And Robyn, whose eyes darted constantly, as if she already knew the tempest to come. Kody cleared his throat, and the room came to an abrupt standstill. The trailer's sound zoomed in on his words, overriding the rest of the noise, so that each syllable hit like a sledgehammer. "There's someone new," he declared. 4 words. But in 4 words he dropped a bomb that shook the web. The camera didn't reveal whom he was referring to. It didn't reveal a fresh face. Rather, it cut to Robyn. Her face like the wind had been knocked out of her. Her mouth was agape, her eyes were wide, and for a good beat she just sat there, speechless. That one instant, Robyn's naked shock, was the focal point of the entire teaser. Fans froze it, screenshot it, made memes out of it, and broke it down like detectives examining a clue. Why was she so shocked? Hadn't she been informed in advance? Was it the first she was hearing of a rumored fifth wife, or the first time she'd seen it could be true? She was acting too much. It felt too real to be faked. She wasn't performing for the cameras. She looked stunned, betrayed, completely devastated. The cut took full advantage of that feeling. With Kody's words ringing out, the camera flashed to Robyn with her hands over her mouth, then to a confessional shot of her, and tears streaming down her face. "I felt like I was enough for you," she wept. Her voice cracked in a manner that fans had not yet heard. She wasn't the cool, calm Robyn, who often stood up for Kody's decisions. She wasn't the self-assured mistress who had seemed above reproach when the other wives retreated. In that trailer, she was exposed, shattered, a woman seeing the pillars of her marriage fall away. The beauty of the scene lay in how little it said, and how much it conveyed. No one else at the table uttered a word during that moment. Janelle's silence spoke volumes. The way her eyebrows shot up ever so slightly, as if to mouth, "Here we go again." Meri's tacit nod implied she was not surprised at all, as if she had called this moment years in advance. The camera afforded each of them a close-up, allowing viewers to interpret every twitch of a facial muscle. And then it cut back to Kody, seated upright, his expression a mix of defiance and pride. He wasn't sorry. He wasn't fidgety. If anything, he seemed pleased, as if he had finally delivered the bomb he'd been holding back to share. Fans instantly wondered why he would pick that time, that place to drop something so big. Was it entirely for effect, knowing the cameras were rolling? An act of cruelty against Robyn, the wife who had endured everything with him? Or was it, as rumors went, a calculated step to deflect the light from his shortcomings onto a new explosive plotline? Whatever the motive, it succeeded. People couldn't stop gossiping. The trailer didn't say who this enigmatic new character was. Rather, it tantalized viewers with only enough image to incite curiosity. In a rapid glimpse which lasted less than half a second, a fuzzy outline of a woman flashed walking into a room. The camera never hit her face. only her profile. She wore somber attire, had her hair tucked behind her ears, her steps slow and measured. That fleeting vision ignited the internet. Reddit forums argued over whether it was a real woman or an insert that was staged. Some of the viewers swore they had seen her in background shots from previous seasons. Others were adamant it was only clever editing, a shadow designed to deceive the audience. The uncertainty was deliberate. TLC well knew what it was doing. The show has taken years to master the art of hanging cliffhangers over its viewers, and this bombshell episode was its masterpiece. By revealing Kody's announcement, Robyn's heartbreak and the slightest hint of a mysterious figure without spilling the beans, the trailer ensured one thing people would watch. Love him or loathe him. Everybody was dying to know how Kody Brown could possibly defend introducing a fifth wife into his life when he had already lost three. But for many viewers, the emotional crux of the scene wasn't Kody's announcement whatsoever. It was Robyn's breakdown. This was the same woman who once appeared unattainable, Kody's self-proclaimed favorite wife who had commanded all of his attention and affection. She'd been the target of years of fan backlash, blamed for reaping rewards from Kody's favoritism at the expense of the other wives, left in the chill. And yet, there she stood, breaking apart under the burden of the same hurt the others endured. Suddenly viewers who had hated her felt something they didn't expect: sympathy. For the first time, Robyn wasn't queen of the castle. She was merely another wife caught off guard by Kody's desire for more. That emotional turning point is what made the bombshell scene unforgettable. It wasn't merely a matter of a new wife. It was the fall of the last bastion in Kody's life. If even Robyn could be shaken, then nothing about the Brown family was safe anymore. The trailer left that question hanging in the air. If Kody could deceive Robyn, then what did that say about the years she stood by defending him? While wrapping up the dinner table scene, the trailer cut to Kody in a one-on-one confession. He leaned forward, eyes blazing, and declared, "This family isn't done yet." His tone was dripping with defiance, a definite indication he was willing to battle anyone who questioned him. Then there was the line that cinched it: "Meet my future." As soon as he said it, the screen flashed once more to the figure of the mysterious woman, the music swelled and the screen went black. The web went wild. Fans rewound the bombshell moment hundreds of times, scrutinizing every frame, every word, every look. Some were angry, damning Kody as selfish and manipulative. Others were gleeful, excited for the chaos Season 20 promised to bring. No matter where they landed, everyone agreed on one thing: the bombshell scene had changed the game. The family we thought we knew was gone, and a new, even more dramatic chapter was about to begin. The moment the words left Kody's mouth, Robyn's entire world seemed to crack. "There's someone new." Those few words fell like a sledgehammer. And although the trailer only showed a couple of seconds of her reaction, those seconds were sufficient to leave everyone speechless. Robyn had been Kody's rock, his favorite wife, the so-called favorite wife, who remained while Meri, Janelle, and Christine all departed. She had been the woman whom everyone blamed for the downfall of the plural family, the one fans felt was above reproach, safe, secure. But in Season 20's trailer, which would go on to explode across the internet, that illusion was shattered. For the first time in more than a decade of reality TV, Robyn Brown appeared like a woman who was blindsided, betrayed, and left utterly shattered. The camera did not blink. It homed in on her face, taking in every flinch of feeling. Her eyes went wide as if she couldn't believe what she was being told. Her lips shook, trying to find words but stumbling over none. And then, in a wave that threatened to engulf her, the truth washed over her. She bent her head, put her hands over her face, and wept. These were not civilized tears, nor discreet sniffles. This was raw, uncontainable sorrow pouring out in the moment. Robyn struggled for air like she'd been punched in the chest. Her shoulders heaved, her mascara smeared, and the microphone caught each roughened breath. Robyn had spent years being depicted as poised and cautious. Even during fights, she would try to stay the voice of reason. When Christine stormed out, Robyn called for patience. When Janelle butted heads with Kody, Robyn pleaded for peace. When Meri was feeling abandoned, Robyn tried, awkwardly as it was, to offer support. But in this moment, all of that poise was forgotten. There was no tranquility, no diplomacy, no fortitude. There was only a woman who had devoted herself, her love and her life to Kody Brown, only to find out that she may not have been sufficient. Her voice broke as she finally whispered those words that would set the tone for the trailer. "I thought I was enough for you." It was a sorrowful admission, one that immediately struck a chord in viewers. For so many years the other wives had borne that same shame, feeling like their love, their work, their sacrifices weren't enough for Kody. Christine cried those tears behind closed doors. Janelle had stifled that hurt in silence. Meri had drowned for years in that void. But now the woman who was supposed to be different, the woman Kody appeared to adore above all others, was feeling the same suffocating rejection. And that irony was catastrophic. The cutting made the devastation worse. While Robyn cried, the camera switched to confessionals, where she held tissues in her hand, her swollen red eyes. She spoke in a stuttering fashion, her voice trembling. "I gave everything to him," she said. "I believed in us. I stood up for him, when nobody else would. And now," she ran out of breath, unable to continue the thought, her tears clogging her words. Fans could complete the sentences. She was discovering in real time that her allegiance might have been misplaced, that Kody's vows were as brittle with her as they had been with all the others. What made the collapse so riveting was how unexpected it was. Robyn had always appeared assured of her position in Kody's heart. While the other wives competed for his attention, she appeared to have it effortlessly. Where others questioned his affection, she had been embracing it. That security had given her a sense of authority, and she was virtually untouchable. But here in this trailer was stripped of all that. Robyn was no longer the darling. She was no longer the safe bet. She was just another woman left sobbing at Kody's table, wondering how it had all fallen apart. Fans who had once criticized her felt an odd wave of sympathy. Social media buzzed with comments like, "I never thought I'd feel sorry for Robyn, but wow. And she finally understands what the others went through." For the first time viewers saw her not as the villain of the story, but as a victim of the same cycle of neglect and ego that had driven everyone else away. That emotional pivot was overwhelming. It reshaped the scene, turning the bombshell not only about Kody's irresponsible decisions, but about the human price of such decisions. As for Kody's attitude in the scene, that just added to the heartbreak. He did not immediately go to console Robyn. He did not apologize, did not even tone down his voice. Instead he remained there, almost self-righteous, his arms folded as if challenging someone to confront him. The contrast was cruel, Robyn falling apart in pieces, while Kody just sat there, already preoccupied with whatever tomorrow he believed he was constructing. It was the most graphic image yet of the imbalance that had characterized their marriage. Her passion versus his self-absorption. The aftermath of her meltdown in the trailer was similarly chilling. In a split second of film, she sat by herself in her car, scrubbing her face with trembling hands, gazing blankly out the windshield. In another she held a pillow on the couch, mumbling, "I don't know if I can do this." Those flashes implied that her anguish wouldn't be limited to a single dinner moment. It would spread through the season. For a woman who seemed to have it all, Season 20 of The Bachelor was primed to illustrate her losing everything. The symbolism wasn't lost on viewers. Robyn's meltdown wasn't about a new wife. It was about the shattering of the myth that she was different. For years she had felt like she occupied a special position in Kody's world. Now she was discovering that she was interchangeable with the rest of them. And if even Robyn could be replaced, what did that say about Kody's ability to love? This was also the moment that turned the power dynamic of the show. Previously Christine had been the rebel, Janelle the practical one, Meri the broken-hearted survivor, and Robyn the pampered favorite. But now Robyn was entering uncharted territory, vulnerability. She was no longer the object of envy, she was the object of sympathy. And that realignment created infinite opportunities for drama. Would Robyn struggle to retain her position? Would she confront Kody for the first time? Or would she break down, going the same route of disappointment as had the others? As the trailer played back to the fans, they couldn't help but question the authenticity of her tears. Was this a woman who was actually devastated by betrayal? Or was this some cleverly edited footage meant to make heartstrings tug? TLC has long had a reputation for playing emotions in its trailers, but Robyn's meltdown didn't seem rehearsed. It seemed raw, real, the kind of pain you can't pretend. And that's why it's etched in memory. In so many ways, her breakdown became the center of the trailer. Yes, Kody's words were astounding. Yes, the figure of the mystery woman was teasing. But it was Robyn's tears, her shaking voice, her whispered confession of not being enough, that stuck in viewers' heads and hearts. That's what they took with them long after the trailer was over. That's what made them press replay, post clips, and fill social media with speculation. Because ultimately, Robyn's collapse wasn't solely about her. It was about every wife ever made to feel invisible. Every partner who ever questioned why their love wasn't enough. It was a common heartbreak, unfolding on the face of the woman who once appeared to have everything. And that is what made it so deeply resonant. The trailer cut to black, with Kody's icy announcement, "Meet my future." But the picture that remained seared into everyone's minds wasn't his smile, it was Robyn's tears. It was the image of the so-called favorite wife, buckling under the pressure of betrayal. And in one photo, Season 20 hinted at something that fans had been yearning for: a reckoning. Not only for Kody, but for Robyn too. The instant the shadow hit the screen, fans stopped. Someone crept into the shot, hazy and unrecognized. Yet the effect was instantaneous. This wasn't a background player or optical illusion. This was intentional. This was TLC sowing a seed, dangling a secret, and challenging fans to speculate. The mystery woman, the rumored fifth wife. She was only on screen for a few seconds in the trailer. But those few seconds created a whirlwind of speculation that spread quicker than anything else in the preview. The staging of the shot only served to build more suspense. The camera lingered on Kody, at the dinner table, as he delivered his ominous line, "There's someone new." Tension already hung in the air. Robyn was already in shreds. And then, just as everyone's eyes weighed the impact of those words, the door at the back opened. A woman stepped in, her hair barely visible, her pace slow and measured. She did not say a word. She did not show her face. But she did not need to. The message was unmistakable. Somebody was going to shake things up. The genius of the edit was how much it didn't reveal. No name, no discernible features, not even a sound, just intrigue. And yet that intrigue was stronger than a complete reveal. Because in that quiet, people's imaginations ran wild. Who was she? Was she somebody Kody had been courting behind the scenes? Was she a newcomer brought in solely for shock purposes? Or perhaps worse, was she someone the family had known beforehand? Someone connected to the Browns in ways no one knew. The vagueness was on purpose, and it paid off in full. The internet went wild with speculation. In a matter of minutes from the trailer release, Twitter threads were filled in with hundreds of postings, each with a fan's own hypothesis. Some felt she was a younger woman, a woman Kody had met through his new social circles, and was seeking to infuse life into his failing dream of plural marriage. Others thought that she was somehow related to Robyn, perhaps a family friend or distant relative, adding further tension to an already strained marriage. Some joked that it was a publicity stunt, that TLC had cast an actress just to stir up trouble. But even those were tinged with curiosity. Because if there's one thing Sister Wives viewers have learned, it's that no twist is too outlandish. The trailer maximized the suspense by adding dramatic music underneath her entrance. The music was low, foreboding. The sort of score that announces peril in a suspense film. It made her presence threatening, like a storm cloud brewing in the doorway. Robyn's wails became louder. The others' voices rang out in confessionals. And through it all, the indistinct figure drew near. Near, until the screen went black. It was a masterclass in making an audience crave explanations. What made the mystery so much more delectable was the timing. Kody had lost 3 wives within a few years. His family was broken, his reputation tarnished, and his fans thought his tale was coming to a close. But with this one hint, TLC turned the script around. Suddenly, rather than winding down, the tale was heating up. A new wife was new drama, new conflict, new dynamics. It was Kody not being finished pursuing the dream that had already ruined so much. And that reminder sparked fans' fascination all over again. For Robyn, the mystery woman's arrival was more than a plot twist. It was a living nightmare. All those years of claiming she was different, that Kody loved her in a way no other woman could be loved, appeared to be erased in that instant. If another woman was coming into the picture, Robyn was no longer the exception. She was simply the next one in line. The expression on her face as the door opened told it all: shock, fear, heartbreak. She knew no amount of promises from Kody for protection could hold up to being broken as easily as it had been done for the others. Fans were unable to help but compare this moment to Robyn's introduction several years prior. She had been the mystery woman back then. She had entered the Browns' world, smiling, charming, full of hope, and in a matter of months she was the center of Kody's universe. Her arrival had changed the power dynamic, relegating Meri, Janelle, and Christine ever further into the background. Now, well over a decade later, history seemed to be repeating itself, although this time Robyn was on the opposite side of things. Rather than being the newbie, she was the one in the vulnerable position, seeing someone else possibly take her spot. That duplicity wasn't lost on audience members. Indeed, it turned into one of the most discussed points on the web. Some supporters were sympathetic, indicating that Robyn was getting a dose of her own medicine at last. Others were more brutal, stating this was karma, revenge for the misery she brought about when she joined the family. Nevertheless, even her detractors conceded that the situation was interesting. Watching Robyn deal with the same fear and insecurity that had plagued the other wives for years made the narrative seem like it had come full circle. It was poetic, dramatic, and agonizingly real. But one thing remained: who was the enigmatic woman? The trailer never told, and that omission was deliberate. TLC lives on speculation, and the more fans fought online, the more the show buzzed. Certain eagle-eyed fans attempted to scrutinize the silhouette, from commenting on the hairdo to her height, even the cut of her clothing. Others scoured social media for leaks or clues regarding the casting. Some even went as far as saying they had insider information, spilling names and speculation that went viral. Each theory only served to stoke the fire, with the mystery woman becoming the most talked about component of the trailer. The emotional aftershock wasn't confined to the audience. In the confessionals that followed her arrival, the other wives responded strongly. Christine, being her usual blunt self, declared it delusional of Kody to imagine a new wife would be the answer to his issues. Janelle, though serene, firmly cautioned this move would bring nothing but more turmoil. And Meri, reserved and mysterious, suggested she had seen this before. All of their responses added depth to the story, fleshing out the mystery woman as not only a person, but an emblem of all that was shattered in the Brown family. For Kody, however, the figure in the background appeared to embody hope. His eyes brightened, his voice became charged, and he appeared almost energized. As Robyn disintegrated, Kody resembled a man who thought he was on the verge of beginning anew. It was a cold contrast. One wife unraveling as the husband already imagined the next installment. That contrast only served to make the mystery woman more sinister. She wasn't just walking into the narrative, she was threatening to erase all that had come previously. The last few seconds of the trailer sealed the tension. Just as the screen cut to black, Kody smiled knowingly at the camera and uttered, "Meet my future." And then, nothing. No face, no name, only the sound of those words lingering in space. For the fans, it was frustrating and attractive all at the same time. They yearned for answers but knew they would have to wait for the season to pan out. The genius of the mystery woman lay not in who she was, but in what she stood for. She represented betrayal to Robyn, disorder to the family, and drama to the audience. She was at once a character and an idea, a person and a plot contrivance. And that ambivalence made her unforgettable. In the weeks following the trailer release, there were hundreds of YouTube videos, TikToks, and podcasts breaking down her every step. Her silhouette was zoomed in on like forensic evidence. Speculations piled up, arguments intensified, and above it all, one thing was certain: the mystery woman was the pulse of season 20's hype. She did not require a name or a face. She had already gotten what TLC desired. She had garnered the world's attention, and thus, the tale of Mystery Woman is not one of identity but of influence. In only a few fuzzy frames, she succeeded in toppling the pillars of Robyn's marriage, rekindling the rage of the ex-wives, and sending fans into a whirlwind of conjecture. She became the embodiment of all things unpredictable. With the Brown family, the reminder that no one, including Robyn, was immune to Kody's perpetual quest for more. And that, above all else, is the reason that audiences can't help but talk about her. The trailer had already provided shock after shock. But when Kody Brown's face popped up on the screen, things changed. Her presence brought with it a gravity that the others could not. Kody was no longer just a random ex-wife. She was now the truth speaker. The show favorite, who escaped Kody's clutches and lived happily ever after outside of him. So when the cameras switched to her confessional, viewers leaned in, eager to hear what she had to say, and she did not let them down. With her signature tactless candor, Kody stared directly into the camera and stated, "If he believes that a new wife is gonna solve his issues, he's more delusional than I suspected." The line lands like a sledgehammer. It wasn't a criticism of Kody's decisions. It was a rundown of everything viewers had been thinking about for years. Kody had endured it all: the neglect, the favoritism, the lying, the endless excuses. She knew more than anyone the feeling of giving it your all to Kody Brown, and being told it was still never quite enough. And now, looking on from the outside, she was not surprised by his behavior. She was repulsed. The honesty of Kody's performance is what made it so memorable. Her tone had an edge to it, hard and unflinching, but there was a quality of pity beneath. This wasn't simple anger. It was more a sad amusement, the way a person might watch another man repeat the same error time and time again. She didn't have any illusions anymore about who Kody was or what he could do. In her eyes, this so-called fifth wife wasn't a fix. She was simply another pawn in Kody's constant game of ego and control. The camera stayed on Kody's face, and her look spoke volumes even better than she did. Her eyes were rock steady, full of a combination of strength and contempt. Her smile was subtle but bitter, like one who had learned enough to know the outcome before the tale even started. And that was the power of Kody. She wasn't merely telling her truth. She was telling the truth of every woman who had gone through what she went through. That's why people adored her so passionately. She didn't soften, she didn't censor. She spoke for the frustration everybody at home had felt for years. Social media was instantaneously awash with admiration. "Kody is the only one who's brave enough to say it," posted a fan on Twitter. "She's the true MVP of the show," wrote another. Videos of the line exploded on TikTok and YouTube, with fans repeating it like a mantra. "More delusional than I thought." It went from being a catchphrase to a reality overnight, a pointed jab that encapsulated Kody's complete collapse in a few words. But Kody's comment was more than a headline. It had depth of meaning that made it all the more compelling. When she accused Kody of being delusional, she was not merely referring to his delusion about taking on another wife. She was criticizing the whole ideology he continued to hold on to. For years, Kody had maintained that plural marriage was a spiritual calling, a way of life founded upon unity and love. But the truth had been resentment, jealousy, and hurt. Kody had devoted decades to that vision, only to find it was killing her. By declaring him delusional, she wasn't simply denying his new decision. She was denying the whole fantasy he had constructed for himself. The trailer was careful to intercut Kody's words with shots of Robyn's tears and Kody's smugness, building the drama. On one hand, Robyn crumbled, devastated by the prospect of losing her position. On the other, Kody sat smug, believing he remained in command. And standing between them, Kody's voice was a warning bell. No new wife would salvage this disaster. That editorial decision made her remark more than an opinion. It was a prophecy. For the fans, Kody's truth-teller role has only increased since her exit from the marriage. They've seen her start over again, smiling wider, laughing harder, flourishing in ways they never witnessed while she was bound to Kody. To see her happy has only served to accentuate just how unhappy she was, and all the concessions she made for a man who gave her so little in return. That is why her words were so powerful. She wasn't bitter, she was liberated, and liberation provided her with clarity. It was noted by a lot of viewers that Kody's honesty in the trailer was precisely the reason why she became the highlight of the latter seasons. She departed on her own terms when she left. She didn't sugarcoat it, she didn't feign it to be mutual. She got up and told Kody she was finished, that she deserved better, and then she left. That boldness gave hope to thousands of viewers, many of whom said Christine empowered them to walk away from abusive relationships of their own. So when she spoke out against Kody's new games, it was more than just another confession. It was a battle cry. Her words also revealed the cycle that Kody appeared to be destined to repeat. Whenever a wife became miserable, rather than work through the issues, he attempted to substitute or distract himself. He introduced Robyn when his marriages were in disintegration already. And now that he had lost Meri, Janelle and Christine, he was attempting again, as if another wife could somehow undo the past. Christine shattered that fantasy with clinical precision. A new wife wouldn't heal anything. It would only add to the chaos. The genius of her words was the way that it spoke to both die-hard fans and Saturday night viewers. Even those who had only watched the sister wives in edited clips got the message. Kody wasn't pursuing another woman. He was pursuing an ideal. And ideals always fall apart. Christine had witnessed it, and she knew more than anyone else that no matter how many wives he took on, the outcome would inevitably remain the same: heartache. Her ominous words also had a hidden warning to the mystery woman herself. Although nameless and faceless, Christine's remark was a warning tale. Don't expect to be any different. Don't believe the hype. Don't enter into a situation that has already claimed 4 women ahead of you. It was like Christine was addressing not only the viewers, but this fuzzy silhouette in the trailer herself, calling her to realize the reality before it was lost. Her words resonated long after the trailer finished playing. People argued over it endlessly, analyzing each inflection. Others felt that Christine was finally providing the justice the other women deserved, criticizing Kody in a way they never had. Others thought it was a full-circle moment, where Christine's voice held the weight of years of silence and pain. Either it was because her statement became the linchpin of the discussion, the line that would sum up season 20 before it even started. And maybe that was the strongest moment of all. Christine had left Kody, but she still had control over him. With one simple sentence, she hogged the limelight, as Kody schemed about his life ahead, and Robyn cried over the illusions shattered. Christine towered above, unruffled, assertive and brutally truthful. She had nothing to lose, and everything to gain. And within the freedom, she was the voice of sanity in a world established upon anarchy. As the screen went dark, and the trailer cut off, fans weren't only left with questions about the new wife. They were left considering Christine's words. They replayed them, reshared them, memorized them, because deep down, they knew she was telling the truth. No fifth wife, no last-ditch effort to revive the dream, could repair what Kody had already ruined. And Christine, in her unflinching honesty, had made certain the entire world knew it. The trailer had already delivered one emotional blow after the next, but with Janelle on screen, she brought a new level of intensity. Unlike Christine's bluntness with anger or Robyn's tears, Janelle exuded a quiet solidity that made her words land harder, almost as if they were spoken as prophecy. She crossed her hands on top of the confessional chair, her face serious but contained. Her tone was low, deliberate, but each syllable sliced with precision. "This won't end the way he thinks it will," she stated. Then, with the kind of uncanny confidence that comes from years of practice, she added, "Kody doesn't realize what he's risking." The statement was short, but it was long enough to fuel an entirely new cycle of conversation among fans. Because Janelle was not a woman prone to outbursts or melodrama. She was always the steady one, the practical one, the wife who kept Kody's mayhem in perspective with a clear head. If Christine was fire and Robyn was tears, Janelle was earth, level-headed, considerate, unmoved. So when she delivered a threat like that, fans knew it wasn't just spite or rage. It was reality, and it bore a weight that few others could provide. Janelle had always played a special role in the Brown family. She wasn't as openly emotional as Christine, or as dainty as Meri, or as privileged as Robyn. She was the one who took care of the practicalities: money, organization, raising children with a sense of order in a world that tended to get out of control. Fans had always loved her strength, even when it took the form of occasionally stepping back to let others shine. But as time went on, her patience with Kody frayed. The favoritism, The lack of responsibility, the endless excuses, it eroded her loyalty until, finally, she too chose to leave. That background lent her warning in the trailer a richer meaning. She understood Kody all too well when he was in his powerful mode. She had witnessed him running after his ego to the detriment of all the people surrounding him. And she had witnessed what occurred when his reality caught up with him. To her, the introduction of a so-called fifth wife was not a new beginning. It was a recipe for disaster. She could notice the cracks in the foundation first, because she had spent years keeping that foundation intact. It was how she presented her warning that made it so terrifying. She didn't scream, she didn't weep, she didn't even get angry. Instead, she seemed almost resigned, like she had already accepted the inevitable fate. It was the quiet of a woman who had already strolled through the flames and understood precisely how fiery they were. She wasn't speculating, she was recalling. And what she recalled imbued her words with an element of prophecy that fans could not disregard. Social media quickly grabbed hold of Janelle's quote. Viewers posted such things as, "When Janelle talks, you listen," and that warning sent shivers down my spine. TikTok edits spliced her remarks over ominous music, presenting her as the reserved seer of the Brown family. Some of the fans even joked that Janelle must begin her own advice channel, as her sharp insight into Kody's illusions was unequaled. What made her threat so powerful was the fact that it wasn't only about him. It was also about Robyn. Because if Kody actually added a fifth wife, Janelle knew the exact reaction. Robyn, who had been once so unapproachable, would suffer the same bitter taste of betrayal the rest of them had known. She would feel the jealousy, the insecurity, the constant struggle for attention. And if Robyn fell apart, as the trailer indicated she had already begun to do, then Kody would be losing the sole faithful partner he had left. That was the threat Janelle was referring to. It wasn't merely adding another wife. It was dismantling the sole relationship that still kept his fragmented family intact. The trailer cleverly interwove Janelle's words over shots of Robyn crying, mascara smudged, face hidden in her hands. It was as if Janelle was describing Robyn's future, outlining the heartache that was yet to come. And viewers couldn't get enough of the irony. For years, Robyn had been the one wife who was impervious to the anguish the rest of them suffered. Now Janelle was threatening that she was going to live it for herself. What made Janelle's threat more effective was her track record of holding firm. She never hesitated to stand up to Kody when the situation called for it. Fans recalled the angry battles in the previous seasons, where she opposed his actions with calm but unyielding sense. Unlike the inflammatory outbursts of Christine, Janelle's confrontations always were deliberate, considered, based on facts. That made her a threat to Kody, since he couldn't write off what she said as emotional. He had to confront them, even when he didn't want to do so. And inside the trailer, her steady, calm warning held that same unshakable authority. Viewers also viewed her words as a mirror held up to their own frustration. They had seen Kody make the same missteps, time and again, refusing to learn, refusing to own up. Janelle's line cut through the hype, saying aloud what everybody had been screaming from their living rooms for years, that Kody was sacrificing everything for his own illusions. It was therapeutic to hear it said out loud, particularly by someone who knew him better than nearly anybody. In the days after the preview, fan discourse repeatedly returned to Janelle's warning. They argued that she was the only person who really knew what was at stake. Others surmised that she was setting it up for even more drama to happen, either Robyn finally betraying Kody, or the whole family situation imploding once and for all. Janelle's measured tone made it seem less like prophecy and more like fate. Whatever she said, it would be so. Her presence in the trailer also picked up on the development of her character. Throughout the initial seasons, Janelle tended to get lost in the background, quietly keeping up with her duties as the spotlight shone on others. But over the last few years, as she moved away from Kody, she became louder, more assertive. The Janelle that fans saw in Season 20's trailer wasn't a silent observer. She was a woman who had weathered the turmoil, emerged with her dignity still in place, and now spoke with the honesty of a person who had nothing to lose. That transformation gave her warning greater force. There was also a feeling of poetic justice in what she said. For years, Janelle had been one of Kody's strongest supporters. She had suffered his neglect, his partiality, his perpetual excuses, hoping for the ideal of plural marriage even when it injured her. And yet, after years of self-sacrifice, she was now warning him, whereas Kody charged forward blind to repercussions. Her peaceful speaking truth to power contrasted vividly with his arrogant recklessness, and that contrast would become one of the strongest dynamics of the entire trailer. By the time the preview was over, Janelle's words hung in the air like an echo. Audiences weren't just left wondering about the new wife and fretting over Robyn's crying. They were unsettled by the unspoken confidence in Janelle's tone, the fact that she had witnessed this tale unfold before and exactly how it would be ending. Her warning wasn't only to Kody, it was to the viewers as well. Don't be misled. Don't fall for the illusion. This won't go down the way he believes it will. And that was what made Janelle's scene in the trailer unforgettable. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it didn't have to be. In an ocean of chaos, Janelle was the voice of reason. And sometimes the most silent warnings are the ones that sound loudest. The trailer had already loaded twist upon twist. Kody's self-satisfied smirk, Robyn's crying, Christine's flames, Janelle's caution. And then, with no word at all, came the shot that paralyzed the screen and left viewers gasping. Meri Brown, seated alone, face vacant, eyes gazing off into some space past the camera. Her silence spoke louder than any brooding monologue ever could. And in that silence lay the crushing weight of decades. Decades, even. Meri has always been one of the most complex figures in the Brown family's narrative. As Kody's first wife, she was there from the start, the foundation that the whole plural marriage had been built upon. She was faithful and patient for years, putting her own needs on hold for the sake of the family utopia. But as time went on, that loyalty became her prison. While Robyn rose in Kody's favor, and Christine and Janelle built lives of independence, Meri's world shrank smaller and smaller. She was left with scraps of affection, public humiliation, and the lingering ache of being forgotten. And now, in the trailer for season 20, her response to the jaw-dropping revelation of a possible fifth wife wasn't hot like Christine's or rebellious like Janelle's. It wasn't even tearful like Robyn's. It was silence. Thick, choking silence. No crying, no explosion, only a glance that gave the impression, I've heard it all before. I already know what happens next. That silence was powerful because it carried years of pain behind it. Fans immediately picked up on it, flooding social media with comments about how Meri's quiet stare hit harder than any shouting could have. One fan tweeted, "Meri's silence speaks louder than all of them combined." Another wrote, "You can see decades of betrayal in her eyes. She doesn't need words." And TikTok edits quickly spread, zooming in on her expression with captions like, "This is what broken looks like." Or "She's seen it all." What makes Meri's silence so haunting is the context of her journey. This isn't just about a fifth wife. This is about everything that came before. The infamous catfishing scandal that shattered her trust. The months of distance from Kody, when he had openly confessed that he had no romantic interest in her. The solitary holidays, the family gatherings where she felt more of a stranger than a spouse. For anyone else, rumors of a new wife would have been earth-shattering. For Meri, it was another page in a book that she had already read too many times. And yet, that silence was not entirely sadness. There was something else underlying it, an odd sort of strength. Because while quiet can be defeat, quiet can be clarity. For the first time in years, Meri appeared like someone who wasn't going to beg, or fight, or scrape at Kody's morsels of attention. Instead, she appeared like someone who had already undone herself, who had at last released the illusion. And that created her silence nearly chilling. It was not submission, it was freedom. Audiences could feel it too. Some noted that her non-reaction would be the most perilous reaction of all. Because Kody lives on drama. He lives on control, on the knowledge that he can elicit feelings and manipulate circumstances. But Meri gave him nothing. No energy, no feeling, just silence. And in the silence, she took away his power. The trailer editors understood what they were doing in allowing the camera to dwell on her. For a few seconds, the world stopped, as if the viewers were being compelled to sit in that silence along with her, to sense the hollowness, the tiredness, the burden of years. And in that moment, fans understood that sometimes the most powerful statement is the one that is left unspoken. The silence also brought questions. Was Meri really unmoved, or was her empty face covering a tempest beneath the calm exterior? For, despite all the years of sorrow, a fifth wife would be a bitter reminder of her own displacement. She had once been lawful wife, first wife, foundation. Now, if rumors spoke true, she wouldn't merely be replaced, she would be wiped away. That kind of pain can't always be expressed in words. Sometimes it just sits there, heavy and unspoken, in the eyes. Fans also speculated whether Meri's silence hinted at her ultimate decision. For years, viewers had begged her to leave, to break free from the emotional prison of her relationship with Kody. And while she had taken steps toward independence with her bed and breakfast business and solo ventures, she had never fully cut the cord. Could this moment, this silent, almost eerie reaction, be her final breaking point? Was this the trailer subtly suggesting that Meri's chapter was truly closing once and for all? The notion of Meri walking away at last caused shockwaves among the fandom. For all this time, she had been the one who remained in spite of the hurt, the one who held on to hope, even when it was painful. But in this teaser, she wasn't hopeful. She didn't even seem broken-hearted. She seemed done. And that insidious change was perhaps more dramatic than any argument ever could. Even the manner in which the trailer cut over her silence spoke volumes. Following her mutinous stare, the next frame was of Kody smirking, speaking of new beginnings and fresh starts. The contrast was harsh. As he dreamed of a new beginning, Meri remained silent, the specter of each failure he abandoned. It was as if the editors were informing us, here's what Kody's dreams cost. And the fans picked up on it. YouTube and Reddit comments went wild with theories. Some hypothesized that Meri being silent was her way of admitting she was done for good. Others hypothesized that it was the silence of someone too broken to continue fighting. But nearly everybody did agree on one thing: her short, silent response was one of the most potent moments of the entire trailer. What made it even more poignant was how relatable it was. Anyone who has ever experienced betrayal, neglect, or the slow erosion of a relationship knows that silence often comes after the anger and the tears are gone. It's the stage where you've felt everything there is to feel, and all that's left is emptiness. Meri's face in that trailer captured that stage perfectly. It wasn't television drama anymore. It was raw human truth. And that truth is what makes Sister Wives so compelling after all these years. For all the staged conversations and edited storylines, the real power lies in those unscripted moments where pain, betrayal, or resilience shines through without a single word. Meri's silence was one of those moments. It was real, it was raw, and it reminded everyone watching that behind the headlines and the memes are real people with real scars. By the end of the trailer, fans weren't just buzzing about the mysterious fifth wife or Robyn's breakdown. They were haunted by the image of Meri's silence. It lingered, echoing in the minds of viewers long after the trailer ended. Because silence, when loaded with meaning, doesn't fade. It echoes. And that's what made Meri's reaction unforgettable. It wasn't about what she said. It was about what she didn't say. It was of the years of betrayal, the stripping away of identity, the taking away of hope, all condensed into one silent gaze. It was of a woman who had given everything, lost nearly everything, and was now sitting in the starkness of that reality. If that silence equated to freedom, defeat, or something in between, only time would tell. But one thing was sure: in that short, wordless second, Meri stole the show. If there was one glimpse in the Season 20 trailer that had the Sister Wives fanbase reeling, it was the dark, enigmatic suggestion of the potential for a fifth wife. The trailer didn't even reveal her face. It didn't even acknowledge whether she actually exists or not. All it provided was a glimpse. A fleeting shot of Kody talking to someone off-screen, accompanied by ominous music and a whisper that the family structure would be altered forever. It was enough to stir up a wildfire of rumors. And the fans could not shut up about it. For years, fans have seen Kody Brown's marriage disintegrate bit by bit. Wife after wife drifted away, leaving Robyn alone holding on to the vision of a family that was already in tatters. And now, when everyone thought the tale would conclude with Kody alone, defeated and in isolation, the trailer suggested the unthinkable that he could be beginning anew again, this time with wife number 5. The intrigue of the fifth wife quickly took over the fan base. Social media was abuzz with theories. Some thought she was already a woman in Kody's life, a discreet presence he'd been holding off on introducing until now. Others thought she might be a fresh face, someone younger and more impressionable, someone who could provide Kody with the clean slate he's been hoping for. A few even questioned whether the entire thing was a sophisticated editing gimmick on the part of TLC to keep folks enthralled. But regardless of what the reality of the situation was, the deed was done, the potential was planted, and fans couldn't turn away. The trailer editors milked it for all it was worth. They knew that mere implication of a new wife would be enough to get audiences dizzied, so they didn't confirm it. They merely teased the secret, making everyone desperate to turn on the show and learn. At one point, Kody was heard exclaiming, "Sometimes you have to take risks for love." The camera panned to Robyn's tear-stained face, to Janelle's stern warning, to Meri's eerie silence, and lastly, a blurry image of a woman's silhouette walking behind the camera. The timing was impeccable. The message was unmistakable. Something was coming big. What was so surprising about the fifth wife teasing wasn't that the idea of Kody bringing in someone new was shocking. It was the timing. His affairs with Christine, Janelle, and Meri had all imploded. Robyn, the star of his show, was depicted in utter despair. And rather than fixing what was wrong, rather than confronting his errors, Kody appeared set to do it all over again. That's what also made fans most angry. Because it wasn't necessarily about a new wife. It was about the fact that he refused to learn, refused to change, was fixated on pursuing new starts while leaving behind those who had been faithful to him for decades. For Christine, who had already established a new life beyond the family, the rumors of fifth wives were nearly laughable. Her fans pictured her seeing the trailer and rolling her eyes saying, "Here he goes again." For Janelle, it was precisely what she had cautioned against. And for Meri, it was the ultimate slap, the final erasure of all she had once held dear. But for Robyn, the wife who was forever out of reach, the rumors cut closest to the bone. The trailer left no doubt, she wasn't rattled. She was a mess. That alone was enough to convince a lot of fans that the fifth wife was not just a myth. If it was all tricks and illusions, why show Robyn cracking up? Why emphasize her terror, her heartbreak? The editors might have lingered on Kody's bravado, or Christine's laughter, or Janelle's warnings. Instead, they stayed on Robyn's tears. To viewers, that signaled that something real was going on. And for the first time in years, Robyn's secure spot as Kody's favorite no longer seemed so secure. Speculations regarding the identity of the fifth wife only became crazier with fans analyzing each shot in the trailer. Some vowed that the outline appeared young, much younger than the other wives had been when they wedded Kody. Others pointed out the attire. Contemporary, chic, very different from the modest garments the original wives used to wear. Could Kody possibly pursue a younger woman in order to regain his ego? The possibility sent viewers into an uproar. There were also rumors that the new wife would not be so new after all. A few fans suggested that Kody had been secretly courting someone in the shadows, someone already affiliated with the family or their church. The idea that he could have been lining this relationship up, while the others walked away, only made the anger worse. It wasn't a betrayal, it was a pattern. A cycle he continued to perpetuate. And then the question of why. Why would Kody endanger everything for another wife, when he could hardly keep up with the ones he already had? The response, of course, was ego. For years, viewers have seen Kody struggle with control, authority, and the picture of himself as the patriarch of a successful plural family. But that image had collapsed. Rather than a patriarch surrounded by devoted wives, he was now a man who had been left behind, vulnerable, his failures staged on national television. A fifth wife to him might be redemption. It could be confirmation that he wasn't finished, that he was still capable of bringing loyalty, still able to begin anew, still able to act the part of the man he had long envisioned himself to be. But to everyone else, it was tragic. Because no matter how many new beginnings he chased, the wounds of the past still lingered. Christine's heartbreak, Janelle's warnings, Meri's silence, Robyn's tears, they were all reminders of what happens when Kody refuses to face the truth. A new wife wouldn't erase that. It would only add another name to the list of people he hurt. The trailer did not validate if the fifth wife existed. And that was the brilliance of it. By never answering the question, TLC ensured that the talk would continue. Fans analyzed it frame by frame, argued about it on Reddit, broke it down on TikTok. Everyone had an explanation, but nobody had the solution. And that tension was stronger than anything a clear confirmation could ever have been. What the trailer did make clear, though, was that the fifth wife, real or not, was going to be the central storyline of season 20. It wasn't just about Kody anymore, it was about the ripple effect. It was about Robyn's tears, Christine's freedom, Janelle's warning, Meri's silence. The mystery of the fifth wife wasn't just a plot twist. It was a mirror, reflecting everything broken about the Brown family. And that's why people just wouldn't shut up about it. Because on some level they knew that this wasn't truly about whether or not there was a new wife. It was about what the possibility meant. Kody's refusal to grow up, his constant pursuit of something new, his failure to notice the destruction he left in his wake. Regardless of whether or not the fifth wife was an actual human being or merely an apparition in a trailer, she already altered the narrative. She already left Robyn in pieces. Christine giggling on the sidelines, Janelle foreshadowing doom, Meri having nothing to say. And she already left viewers anxiously counting down the days until premiere day, hoping to get the real deal. For if the fifth wife is truly out there, then the Brown family saga is heading into its most dramatic chapter yet. And if she isn't, then the intrigue itself is testament to how far gone things are. That merely mentioning the possibility of another wife can drive the whole family and the whole fan base into pandemonium. Either way, the harm is done. The fifth wife enigma already rocked the world of sister wives to its foundations, and season 20 isn't even here yet. The trailer ended not in peace, but in pandemonium, the kind of pandemonium which promised storms far greater than whatever the Brown family had encountered so far. The screen went dark for a moment, and then Kody's voice re-emerged, firm yet nearly pleading. "This family will survive," he said. But the words sounded empty, for by now audiences had already witnessed the cracks, the tears, the warnings, and the silence. The family wasn't surviving. It was disintegrating. And the storm down the line wasn't simply on its way, it was already present. Each and every shot of the trailer was a lead-up to this. Christine's fiery laughter, Janelle's steady warning, Meri's suffocating silence, Robyn's devastated tears, and the shadow of a mysterious fifth wife. They all collided into one giant question. What happens next? For fans, it wasn't just about the drama anymore. It was about watching the final threads of a family once celebrated for unity now snap one by one, leaving behind wreckage too big to repair. The storm that was coming was not metaphorical. It was also literal. There was one shot where the Brown family's Arizona cul-de-sac was under gray clouds, the wind blowing and dust in the air. The symbolism was glaring. This wasn't a scene about weather, it was one about portents. Something dark was approaching. Nothing would ever be the same again. In the center of the tempest was Kody Brown, the husband who had envisioned a kingdom of love and oneness, and now found himself holding on to a father's role from which he had long since relinquished. His statement that the family would endure was almost more a denial than a declaration of confidence. For many years he had disregarded the warnings, dismissed the hurt, and blamed everyone but himself for the cracks in his kingdom. Now, on the verge of total collapse, his reaction was the same it had always been, to plow ahead in bulldozer fashion, claiming he could start again without ever saying he was wrong. But the women in his life painted a different picture. Christine, finally free, was laughing not in mockery, but because she was already passed through the storm. She had walked away, she had found peace, and she had begun again. Seeing Kody pursue a fifth wife only served to prove to her that she had done the right thing. Her laughter wasn't mean. It was relief. Relief that she was free from the never-ending cycle of disappointment and heartbreak. Janelle's warning rang out still, like thunder in the distance. Her soothing words, "This won't end the way he thinks it will," were left hanging, like prophecy. She had already moved back, but she understood Kody too well. She understood his need to control, his craving for approval, his inability to learn. She had lived it all before, and she knew precisely where it was headed. Her warning was not for herself. It was for the others. For Robyn, for Meri, for the family still in the whirlwind. Meri's silence was perhaps the most haunting part of all. While Christine laughed and Janelle warned, Meri said nothing. She didn't cry, she didn't shout, she didn't beg. She simply sat in silence, the weight of decades heavy in her eyes. Her silence was the calm in the storm, not peaceful calm, but the eerie calm that comes right before the skies break open. It was the silence of one who already lost so much that there was nothing left to lose. And at times, silence is more frightening than anger. And then there was Robyn, the once untouchable darling. The wife who had it all, now left in pieces by rumors of a fifth wife. Her tears weren't tears of attention-seeking desperation. They were the tears of someone who was witnessing her whole world shatter. She had thought she was different. She had thought she was safe. But the storm doesn't discriminate who you are. And during season 20, Robyn would begin to experience the same chilly winds that Christine, Janelle, and Meri had all experienced for years. Her meltdown in the trailer wasn't sadness. It was fear. Fear of losing her place, fear of being another one in Kody's string of failed relationships. And hanging over it all was the enigma of the fifth wife. Was she real? Was she an urban legend? Was she the bolt of lightning that would destroy the family once and for all? The trailer never provided a definitive answer, and that remained the storm's eye, where everything came together. Whether she lived or not, hardly mattered anymore. The damage was already done. Her shadow alone had flung Robyn into turmoil, confirmed Janelle's warnings, and reminded Meri of what she had lost. The very existence of her was enough to shatter what little remained of the family. Viewers who were fans of the trailer knew one thing for sure. Season 20 would not be one of harmony. It would not be one of creation or mending. It would be one of survival. Survival for Kody as he held on so tight to the vision of the man he wished he could be. Survival for Robyn as she encountered a betrayal that was unimaginable. Survival for Janelle and Christine as they sought to start new lives beyond the tempest. And survival for Meri as she at last faced the hollowness of silence. The tempest that lay ahead held out the promise of explosive confrontations, tears that could not be concealed, and truths that could no longer be denied. For years Kody had been able to spin the tale, presenting himself as the misunderstood head of an intricate family. But the trailer made it seem like season 20 would strip away all illusion, leaving only cold reality. And reality, as audiences knew all too well, was a good deal crueler than anything TLC could script. The genius of the trailer was in leaving viewers on the precipice of the storm. It didn't provide answers. It didn't resolve loose ends. Rather, it unleashed pandemonium and then recoiled, challenging fans to watch along and see the storm play out live. Was the fifth wife a real thing? Would Robyn ever crack? Would Meri forever remain silent? Would Janelle's prediction be fulfilled? Would Kody finally confront the consequences he had dodged for years? The storm that awaited him had all the answers, but they would not be easily forthcoming. And that's why the fans just couldn't stop discussing it. Because the storm was not specifically about the Browns. It was about all of the broken promises, every shattered relationship, every fib we tell ourselves to make a dream last. The Brown family was no longer a tale on television. It had become a reflection, revealing to us the reality of what happens when love becomes control, when dreams become illusions, and when silence is louder than words. By the trailer's end, one thing was clear. The storm that lay in wait would forever alter things. The Browns would never return to who they once were. Christine had fled. Janelle had cautioned. Meri had become quiet. Robyn was shattering. And Kody remained pursuing a fantasy that had already fallen apart. If the fifth wife existed or not, the family was already lost in the storm.